Welcome to the Transform Sales Podcast, where forward-thinking business leaders come to share their experiences and ideas, learn from each other, and amplify their results together.
How's it going, everybody? Eddie here on another episode of the Sales Software Review series. I'm here with Preston, Chief Growth Officer of BatchService. Preston, how's it going?
Good, Eddie. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure, Preston, and we have an interesting conversation. We're going to be talking about BatchLeads, an AI-powered real estate lead list and contact information for real estate professionals. Preston, help us unpack a little bit of what this means.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a little bit of background. BatchLeads is part of the umbrella of BatchService. So BatchService is a real estate data and technology company. BatchLeads is one of our fantastic products in that suite. And so BatchLeads is really this easy to consume interface for people trying to create outbound lead lists, of course, using the AI portion of it. And the common problem is, of course, when you're making lead lists are, hey, what's the quality of my lead lists? Do I have all the possible leads I can for this criteria I'm looking for? And we'll talk about how we differentiate there. But then how do I get a hold of these leads? So in the tech sales and marketing space, there's other providers out there that solve that problem. We're solving that for the real estate professionals, getting in touch with property owners. And so we have this crazy robust database of the owner contact information. Finding that can actually be really challenging. And so we want to save you time on getting the right leads, of course, but then also contacting the right people at those leads. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. And then we have all sorts of outreach tools and different ways for you to engage in the platform with these leads.
That sounds pretty interesting, Preston, particularly because one of the questions that I get from a lot of users in the marketplace is, hey, what lead list, what vendor do you recommend for me to generate my leads? And the answer is always it depends. There is not just one single source of truth that can work for every single industry and type of leads and job titles. But guess what? We at least now have an answer for specifically real estate. Now, when it comes to sourcing these leads, what type of platforms or solutions were your customers using before they started trying BatchLeads?
Yeah, sure. So PropStream is a common one. They've been around a long time. Definitely, they were like the first to market for this type of space, I think in mid 2000s. And then another one would be like Deal Machine, Property Radar. There's a lot of kind of other nichier ones that have cropped up in the meantime. There's actually a lot of white labeled solutions out there that coaches use. So they're just a rehashing of another piece of software. And then there's ones like realtors use RedX, Mojo. Those are pretty common ones there. And this is like really when it's catering to like the team or the individual agent or investor. And then, going on up from there, we actually will work with franchises, but those are the common ones in the competitor realm. And then sometimes people will use like one-off skip tracing services. So contact enrichment may be another way you think about, getting the lead information. But skip tracing is an oftentimes used one in the real estate investing space. So there's like smaller ones where you just kind of pay as you go for just the contact info. We've bundled that all into a single platform and made it like crazy affordable at the same time. So.
Now that sounds incredible. And you've been mentioning a couple of tools, some of them recent, some of them with the white label options. But what would you say are the challenges that people are finding when they use those tools to do the same job, right? Trying to get a lead list that they can go contact, get a feel for the properties, the investment opportunities. What is the advantage or the challenge that they solve by trying BatchLeads?
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest one at the forefront right now is the skip tracing. So historically, you're paying like one-off for skip tracing. So it's per record basis. Sometimes places do credits, but you can always reverse engineer that right into the cost of it. And this could be anywhere from like, 5 to 15 cents, depending on where you go. But then within that, there's the accuracy, right? Sometimes in our desire to just, get the best price possible, which everyone's been doing the past 2.5 years, you go for that lowest price, not knowing, hey, how's this going to affect the efficiency of my business? So we've been known as the highest right party contact rate, which just means you're going to actually get the right person at that property. You're not just going to get a person, but the right person.
Mhm.
We've been known for that in 70% plus for single family for years now. And so that accuracy combined with the value. So not only we're not charging you now per skip trace, but you're getting on our base plan 10,000 of those a month for as little as like 71 bucks. It's silly. So like the value there is huge. And then on top of that, though, you think about the we're getting, there's the data, real estate data exists in a lot of different contexts. And so for us, we're a multi-source data company, and which means we have a lot of redundancy, but where we can't fill data in one way, we find another way to fill it. So let's say you're searching on a bedroom bathroom count. If you are lacking bedroom bathroom count and we have that, so another platform, if you lack it and we have that, that means when you're filtering by it, our fill rate is so much better that it's going to return actually more leads for you, whereas you actually may miss out on that. So fill rate is definitely a big one. People don't think about that as much, but it's going on in the background. Just some other things real quick. Data management. I mean, everyone has a CRM to some degree. It's got to get kept up to date. If any characteristics change about a home, or if the owner changes, how's that information getting kept up to date? So that's another one. We'll do database management. Of course, we've done more to invest in kind of AI oriented tools and our integrations. Support is a huge thing for us. So of course, we've continued to invest in quality support over the years. And then also just like UI, like we're modernizing our UI and keeping pace with that, such that it's a pleasurable experience. So those are just some of the things that help kind of differentiate us.
It sounds pretty interesting, Preston. There's a couple of things I want to highlight. Number one, aggregators. A lot of times, companies or individuals, when they want to get better leads, better qualities leads, they go to multiple sources and do the aggregation themselves. But that brings another, let's say, set of challenges with the deduplication, normalization of data, redundant data. What happens if I get two entries? How do I validate now which one is the right one? And there's a big mess. And the more I do that aggregation myself, the more I have to pay for each additional vendor. You guys are doing that in the back end for me at no cost to me. So instead of getting 2-3 different platforms, I pay you and I get access to all of them. That's pretty interesting. Second, database management. First time I hear something like that, you said it, data decays pretty quickly. The moment you generate a database, starts losing its integrity. Someone changed phone number, they lost their device, they sold the property to someone else. Maybe it's the same office, but someone else works there now. Data starts decaying by the minute, every single day. So having that option of maintaining the data, and yes, it's still this, I don't know, address, but now it's this owner, and keeping the records updated on my behalf, I think that's a huge headache removed from my shoulders. And you talk about the UI and the support. I want to learn a little bit more about that. So why don't you start at least with the UI? Why don't you share the screen and show us a little bit of the key features that realtors love when they're pulling leads out of BatchLeads?
Yeah, sure. So as an investor or an agent, I can come in here. So this is our property search screen. I can put in any kind of geo I want. So right now I just have Phoenix, Arizona. That's, right next to where we're based. And so you'll notice right along the top here, there's these quick lead lists. So if I want to just get absentee owners straight off the bat, I can just click this and that's going to refresh my leads and it's going to give me all the absentee owners. Now, if I want to go into a specific strategy, and before I do that, I'll just show you, there's a lot of these different kind of lead lists, corporate owned, owner occupied, vacant, like just you can hit the ground running very quickly. I mean, as soon as I log in here, put in a geo, click a lead list.
Very granular. One question, by the way, Preston, when it comes to geos, this is supported. Is there any state or region that is not supported?
No. So we are nationwide. Nationwide US. So we're not in Canada. or any other country, but we are US specific.
Perfect.
But we don't, I will mention this is very important. Like, we don't price by geo. So it doesn't matter what membership you have, you go nationwide.
Incredible.
You can access that nationwide data. But a couple things here. So most people are going to be either in on or off market in terms of, and this relates to like, is it on the MLS or not on the MLS type of deal? So if it's on market, I can actually then get some specific filters like, hey, what are the deals in the on market? What's there for sale by owner? Tired listings. So if I want to go after those and see maybe if they're willing to
Right.
get better price on the property. Of course, I want to remove pendings, or who has high equity. All these different kind of factors may play in. These are just the one-click lead lists. I can also go into deal potential and select by percent ARV, so after repair value, or the potential spread in a deal based on dollar amount. So that may be important to me if I'm looking for on-market deals to flip. But what's really cool, and this is where some more of the just forward-facing AI comes into play, which, by the way, I mean, you mentioned data, right? And managing a database. There's up to 600 data points on every single property in the US. So you combine that with 170 million properties, it's a mind-boggling number. Keeping all that to be usable and accessible in this manner, we have a full team, a sizable one, to do that and update all the information like real time for you. So
This is what I imagined back in the days when I was hearing big data mining.
yeah, and so like this, it's crazy how like affordable this is now versus this being some like only a REIT could buy it or something.
Right.
So batch rank is a newer feature that we just released. So this is a likelihood to sell or motivated seller filter you can put on. And we have our own technology in the background that's picking up on the key distress factors that are making the people sell, right? And we're tracking this, actually, the outcome of these properties, whether or not they sell on an ongoing basis. So it's going to continue to refine this. And I can, kind of change this to be, more or less properties and get a tighter group if I want. So this one has 3917 properties. So you can see it refresh the list there. And what's really cool about this is I can continue to drill down. So I already put on that batch rank. I selected a really tight, narrow group of properties. But let's say I want to do at least 3 bedrooms and I want like above a year 2000 build. It's going to continue to kind of refine these properties down here because, you don't need a bajillion leads to go after. You need the right kinds of leads, right? And so that's where this really comes into play. Of course, if I was like, hey,
I would actually say if you have the right ones, you're going to be much more careful with your approach as opposed to falling on the illusion that, the market isn't limited and I could just keep burning them and burning them. Actually, no.
Yeah, and some models may certainly require a much a bigger basket to pick from, right? In terms of how many leads they're going after, but especially when you're maybe a smaller organization or you're a single person, you you just can't afford to spend so much time on just tens of thousands of leads at a time. So you're going to want to really drill that down.
Are you sniping or are you shooting from the hip?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's definitely a not a spray and pray approach. What's also cool here, there's this term called list stacking. And so this got really big a few years ago. And so it's like, let's say I have pre-foreclosures and then I have high equity absentee owners, and then I have some other third category. And I just keep building out those lists. Well, then I may go, hey, I want to see who then combines all those different distress signals. So that's like list stacking.
Gotcha.
That's becoming somewhat of an antiquated way of doing things because, well, we have batch rank, which I just showed you, so I could create a super niche down list quickly there. But right here, I can go and say, hey, I want absentee owners and I want, in pre-foreclosure. Now I'm down to 223 properties already. I don't need to go save all these different lists. I can actually, if I really wanted to, just instead of viewing these as very separate lists, I can just go, I want a list of 200 people to reach out to, and I'm going to whittle it down just by combining these filters. So pretty awesome there, the way that does it. And then from here, so let's say I found the list, right? I could favorite these and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm most often going to do is save these to a list. So we also have a feature where you can save the agent information if you're doing on market. But I'll just save these to a pre-existing property list, and I can add any kind of tags that I want, and then I'll save that. And so that'll immediately go into that My List section. So this is sort of what I was talking about with the database management side of things. As I get into the My List, this is where not only is all your contact information going to instantly show up here. You see all this. But now I can then get into the specifics of these properties, which I could have done back there as well. But now I can see, all right, as I open up this property, I can see all the pertinent information on it. I can see, of course, any distress indicators, if there's a rental estimate up here. And a key thing too is that I can use this as a CRM. So not everyone's going to go buy like a Podio or HubSpot, some robust CRM out of the gates. I have a way to be able to track these properties. So as I'm doing my outreach, I can indicate the status here. So I call them, indicate hot. Of course, we got all this contact information. I'll show you how you can dial these straight from our platform as well with an AI preview dialer. But as I go through here, this is all kind of your tax information, lists and tags that it has as well. If we have any demographic information, you'll see that on here. But I can do comps right from here also. So check this out. I can pick properties. I can narrow my selection here on how I want to do the comps. And then I can select my properties to help, kind of start to determine the value and get a legit comp going for this property. And then I can actually email it as a PDF or Excel. So you can do comps straight from in here. I can see the sale and loan information, some of the transaction history as well. There's a loan on the property, of course. I can see that. And let me go over to the owner profile. So this is also a really cool one. I can see what's their open loan amount, their portfolio equity, all that right here that's tied to the single owner. So great if I want to be able to have that context going into a conversation. This isn't just about, hey, this singular property, especially if it's a distressed owner and they have multiple properties, they may be more willing to actually do something.
The more recent, yep.
So any questions there before I keep going?
So far, these looks pretty powerful. I love the fact that you mentioned you can use this as a CRM. Most of the times, hey, they just need the leads and they have a system in place. But if there's someone in the audience, potential realtor, investor, guess what? No need to spend more bucks on getting a separate platform to just manage all these leads. You can generate them here, manage them here, contact them here, keep tabs and update your notes here, pretty much manage your whole sales process.
Yeah. And in terms of outreach, so you can click to dial right here. And I don't have it enabled on this computer, but you can click to dial right here. I can also send direct mail. So you can use preset templates or do, fully custom mailers and send that straight from the platform. So if I wanted to, let's say I'm like, what, there's just, a handful of these I'm really interested in. I could send it from right in this view. But the other thing I could do, and let me go back to my lead list here. I had that pre-foreclosure Phoenix, which had a bunch of other properties on it as well. So I can select all these, or I can select some of them. And in my actions, I can do a variety of things. I can actually add it to a power dialer. So that's one of our products is Batch Dialer. But we have a dialer we're about to introduce inside of here as a preview dialer. So that's a single line dialer, but allows you to queue up a list. And I'll show you that right now.
Gotcha.
So I can add all these to a direct mail campaign. I want to do bulk mail, however much you want, or add this to the preview dialer. So as soon as I add it to the preview dialer, it's going to then put me into a dialogue to say, hey, what's your campaign? All this stuff. I have this campaign that's already going, cash buyer list. So I'm going to get in here and I can see I put in 31 leads and I can actually just dial right from here. So as soon as I click this green button, it'll help me start dialing. And as I am dialing these businesses, these owners, I can update the status right in here of the call outcome, of course.
Right.
Then I can add any kind of notes I want, set follow-up tasks on this. So you see where the CRM functionality starts to come out.
100%.
And then, if I'm done with a specific property, I'm just going to the next one. And so that is definitely the beauty of this. I got all my information on the property, really the pertinent information I need to be informed right within this. So super powerful again. And if we have multiple contacts, of course, you're gonna see that right here. And you may have to call a few to get to the right person because some people have multiple lines or there's multiple contacts. So
I've seen companies where there's a person in the office just contacting the leads, trying to get these opportunities, or just setting up the meetings with potential investors to go visit the property. And they have someone else on the field just taking a look at what was scheduled, what's for me, and I just show up to the property. But for the person in the office, this enhances their productivity. They don't have to switch, reload contacts, go to new pages. Nope, just finish with this one, save the notes, next call. Finish the notes once, click on next call, finish notes, call, and so on.
Love it. And this is coming out this quarter. So I'm actually in a beta version of this. But this is coming out this quarter. And it's interesting you mentioned someone in the field. We do have the ability to do virtual driving for dollars. So that's that terminology there. Where I can go drop this little guy here onto the maps. And this place looks pretty run down. So I might add this to a list. But I could start a route right from here and look at look at the info, the basic info. I could to a list, right? So I could actually curate a list this way just to check out areas.
It's almost like augmented reality on Google Drive just to see the listing information.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like you see this happening a lot in Austin right now. These kind of old World War II bungalows are getting torn down to build these modern ones. But and then if let's say you do have someone out in the field and they are kind of bird dogging for you or whatever it is, they can use our mobile app, we do have a mobile app. And they can add these to a list that way too. So if you have someone who is truly your field person because, maybe they're doing something else while they're driving as well for a separate job, or that's all they do is bird dogging.
Right.
You can have them add that to a list. So if I stop and save this, then it saves my route and it'll, tell me how many properties I have saved and that kind of thing as well. So, this is also a fantastic tool.
Driven time, there. Everything, all the stats are there.
So, yeah, that's, there's more, of course, nuance in there, but this is really the most, that's like hitting the highlights of what you can do in here. And actually last thing I'll touch on is, so I have a database here of 5,400 properties. So not huge, but I may want to actually filter within my own database and see all these different kind of things, right? this is where you could say, hey, I want to see who shows up in my existing database on, like, say 3 or more lists. So there's 13 properties in my database that show up on now 2 to 9 lists. So you can really get granular within the subset of data that you've created to create a different kind of outreach list. And again, as the phone numbers update or the owners update, this will get updated as well.
Amazing. Now, Preston, I have a couple of questions for you. First of all, we spoke earlier about support. First, what would you say are the task deliverables and people involved in the setup? And then when it comes to being able to be up and running, talk to me about the different plans that you have. There's a free or a paid one. And if there's only paid one, talk to me about the support channels that your buyers and users can use to communicate with your team if they need assistance, have an issue with the platform, or just need some guidance.
Yeah. So in terms of setup, this is not a complicated setup. If you're like, I decided this morning I want to start doing this, you could get into a 7-day trial, and all of our plans have a 7-day trial. And there's 3 primary ones I'll talk about, but you can get a 7-day trial, come in here, and you actually get, I believe, 100 leads free during your 7-day trial, which is pretty awesome.
Nice.
But you could come in here, let's say you roll over into a subscription, you can start curating lists today and go start calling them today.
Immediately.
It's as simple as that. A lot of this space, I'll say, is just, it's so dependent on the person and how much they want to put into it. Support wise, though, as you go into your trial, and actually, I think the first 180 days, there's different automation sequences that'll give you different resources, different webinars, ebooks. We have a community, Slack community of over 4,000 people that you can join. And within that, our community manager will run monthly challenges as well. So if you're having trouble getting started and you're like, man, I just don't know where I need some accountability, we'll do that. And that's all part of being in our community. It's not something we upcharge for. There are some communities out there where it's like you're paying $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to be a part of. This is part of our software offering. And then ongoing support, of course, there's chat, and then you can request a call with those people as well. And so, yeah, there's so many touch points. And then we actually invested lately into more interactive demos. And I don't know if you've seen these. These are a little newer in the tech space as well, but where it's just very cut and dry on how to navigate and learn certain aspects of the platform. So we're all about the educational side. We actually have some e-courses as well. If you're just getting into real estate investing, or you're wanting to learn a specific, part of the product, you can get into those also. So a lot of different ways we'll support you there. And then along the way, we have account managers assigned to the different accounts that we do have, or the different users. And so they may follow up from time to time, see how you're doing, any kind of help you may need, that kind of thing. So
fantastic. Plenty of options. So number one, use the trial, 100 leads that you can pull from there to just get a feel for the platform, get a taste of it. 3 easy plans that you can then upgrade to. And on each of those, you get support. You get not only the chat, probably email is there, but most importantly, you get a person that you can communicate to, maybe give them a call or at least jump on a meeting. Hey, help me troubleshoot this. I'm trying to do XYZ. How can I do that? And definitely the community. Be involved with the community, and probably, hey, I may not even need to talk to someone in support, but another fellow realtor also checking or having these same challenges. He solved it on maybe a forum or that community, and I may be able to get that same type of help. Cool. I guess then my last question is going to be around the success criteria that your users are using right now to evaluate the quality of batch leads. What would you say are these KPIs that they should be attentive for?
Yeah, and it's really a pretty similar type of funnel you're going to find to most sales funnels, right? It's like what's your connect rate? How many, dials or points of outreach are you making? What's your meeting booked rate? And then what's your, how many closed won deals are you getting out of that? Now, those are going to be vary a little differently depending on if I'm a real estate agent going after listings, or if I'm a wholesaler, or, if I'm doing, buy and holds as an investor, just depending on what your strategy is. But if like, hey, historically, here's how I performed, you can track against that. Or if you're just new, that's the best thing I'd say. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the dials. You have to put in the conversations, deal with the no's, get the yes, and book your deals or get your contract signed. So it's that simple, I'd say.
I love something you mentioned there at the end, Preston, where you said if you have a baseline for all of these conversion metrics, because what you said are pretty much conversion metrics of a sales pipeline.
Yeah.
All of them should improve once you start using us. And I think that's the easiest way to analyze these things, because you may put all the KPIs in place, but if you don't have the right data to begin with, all of your conversions are going to be low. So what are you going to see the difference now when you try batch leads? Well, you get better connect, which was the first KPI you said, your connect rates. And if I'm connecting more and the leads are actually the leads that I did filter, all the other KPIs should start to improve. Unless there's another flow in my process, maybe objection handling or something like that. But everything else should improve from baseline. If from the get-go, I'm using better data. You don't have good data, you can have the most awesome sales process in place. It's going to fail. You can have the best messaging. It's really not going to resonate if you don't have the right leads for the product or service that you are promoting. And in this case, in real estate, it seems like batch leads can really bring those right contacts. Preston, is there anything else you want to share with the audience before we wrap up this episode?
I would just encourage you, if you're using a different platform, even if you're satisfied with it, come check out BatchLeads. Again, you can get a 7-day trial, and you can get our intro plan for as low as $71 per month if you're on a prepaid annual. But if you're doing high volume too, we can also accommodate that. If you need 500,000 leads a month, we can help you with that. We have plans to help you to achieve whatever your business goals are there. So, just encourage you to come try us out.
I love it. Give it a chance. Some of the times, hey, you may have a provider, you may be happy, but you check another one. And it could be that you guys have the same leads, but the way you just showed us how you can manipulate the data, extract insights, use it as a CRM, create the routes. There's just a lot of tools that go way beyond the data. The data is great, but there's a lot more that may motivate you to stay here if you just give it a chance. So there you have it. Head over to the CloudTask marketplace. You'll be able there to see the listings that BatchService has created, specifically batch leads, and you'll be able to meet with Preston and his team to get started on one of his plans. Preston, appreciate your time, and I hope to catch you in a future episode.
Sounds good. Thanks, Eddie.
Excellent. You have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.